Why did God create the world? Well, to be a little philosophical about it, God had everything except man that would recognize that God is everything. And God created the world so that we would take part in his being completely complete. And by us recognizing the fact that God has everything, then the world is really complete. Many people say that before the sun was created, there is no concept of a day. And the 6 days are not necessarily 24-hour periods as we know them today. Similarly, existentially, it's impossible to define time without man. And it's possible that the 6 days of creation were longer days than the rest. When the Torah says that the world is 6,000 years and we've already experienced 5,783 of them, it's referring from the time of the birth of man. From the time of first man, there's 5,783 years. Before that, it could be that the world was full of Neanderthal, monkeys, and dinosaurs. This is a very deep, serious question, and it's not the first time it's been asked. Moses asked God in the Bible, Hodi'eni na et drachecha. Please inform me of your ways. The Talmud explains that this question was specific about, if you're good, why do innocent people suffer? And God took Moses to a perspective that saw everything that we see now in this world as just a tiny part of the universe. And there are many parts of the universe. And you see a myopic vision of only one little part. Just like if somebody was going to look at a surgeon with a scalpel doing a surgery, he would say, "You're just incarnate evil." And he would have to zoom back to see the bigger picture, realize how this doctor is a messenger of mercy, saving the life of the patient. Not everything comes to fruition in this world. This world is part of the next world. And there is a great big system, but we're only witnessing the tip of an iceberg. And the gist of the world is not seen with the naked eye. And we believe that God is good. We believe that surgeons are good. We believe that the entire system is good. We also accept the fact that we cannot understand fully an answer to this question with our myopic vision in only this world. Once man stops believing in God, God stops believing in man. Without faith, we're alone in this world. It's like asking someone why they chose their wife. And that even if they're going to say, I like the way she looks, I like the way she thinks, I like the way she cooks, that's not the reason. There's something very deep that brings them together. And it's the same. When God created the Jewish people, saying that it's because of anything doesn't do service to the real reason. God chose the Jewish people because. Just because. I'd like to tell you a story about Rabbi Menashe Mehilia. He was a student of the Vilna Gaon, and when someone asked him how he feels, he would say, as long as there's a worm someplace in the world that's sitting under a rock and it's not comfortable, it's hard for me to say that I'm okay. That's our mission. Everything. As long as there is some creature somewhere in the world that is still unhappy, we are still unhappy. Our goal is to perfect everything, everywhere. And once the world is perfected, we can say our job is done. There's an interesting letter of the Rambam where he was asked this specific question. And he gives an interesting example, and he says, someone asked, what is the difference between a wax dummy, an image of a person, and a person? For this has a nose and this has a nose. He has eyes and he has eyes. And they all have hands and legs. And he says that the difference is simple, that this is alive and this is not. And when you look at the essence of religion, to bring God into this world, this is the special trait of Judaism. Throughout history, this is what the Jewish people have done. We have a track record of 5,783 years from first man through Abraham till today, bringing God into this world. The Torah is God speaking to man. Plain and simple. As an American coming to Israel, I saw something very interesting. In the United States, when I was a kid, my father would always take the instructions and read them from beginning to end, and only then touch the mechanical machine. In Israel, I noticed the first thing you do when you open something, you take the instructions and you throw them in the garbage. And if it doesn't work, then you begin to kick it. And we're called the startup nation because it seems to work, and that you might have to innovate and then fix it somehow. But the classical way of using something is with directions for use. God created the world. He gave us directions for use. This is our Torah. I suggest learning it. Everyone has to observe the Torah. We said the Torah, instructions for use. Everyone has instructions for use. And non-Jews have 7 precepts that it's incumbent upon them to keep, and they're expected to keep them. Everyone is expected to be religious. Every non-Jew, everyone around the world is expected to keep 7 basic laws of man. The first is not to worship idols. Don't be a pagan. The second is not to curse God himself. Third, not to kill. The fourth, not to commit adultery. The fifth, not to steal. The sixth is to make sure that the animal is dead before you eat it. And the seventh is to establish a justice ministry, to have courts and to rule and to make sure that society is just. Everyone in the world is commanded to keep these 7 basic principles of humanity. I remember when I was a kid, my mother bought me Play-Doh. And I had this idea of making beautiful new color that didn't exist, and I would make a rainbow color. And I took all of the different colors, and I took the red and the blue and the yellow, and I took the orange and the green, and I put them all together into a giant, beautiful, new Play-Doh ball. But at the same time, I was mortified. My blue was stolen. My red was missing. Suddenly, the yellow was gone. No more orange. And all of the beautiful colors that I had before turned into just one single blend. And I felt that I ended up with only 1/5 of the Play-Doh I had before. I would ask the opposite. Why do modern times reject keeping the laws of the religious Jews? We see that we have a system that works. It works well. It works really well for 3,500 years. Now, modern times come along. Oh, we've got a great idea. Let's do this and that. And it might be a great idea, but the long-term ramifications you only know in the long term. And when you change a system that's been working for 3,300 years with something that's been working for 3 years, you should be careful about it. More and more, it's apparent that there are things that we cannot see, touch, or hear, but they are very much in existence. Like in this room, at this very moment, there are all of the millions of sites of the internet. The proof, if you take a smartphone, you can access millions and millions of sites. Now, how can you do that? That means that right now in this room, all of the airwaves and all of the millions of sites, they exist right here in this room now with us. Do you see them? If you don't have a smartphone, you won't see them. It's the same thing with heaven and hell. If you don't have a smartphone, you won't see them. There's an interesting story brought in the Talmud. We don't have many people who visited the world to come and then came back to tell us. But we do have one individual, Rabbi Yoshua, the son of Levi, that went and came back. And we said, oh, you came back. Wow, you have to tell me. What's it like? What's it been like? And he said, you know what it's like? It's upside down. Everybody who's important in this world is not that important in the next world. And a lot of people who are not important in this world are very important in the next world.